Before Jackson could say anything, Aramay added, "Before you start worrying, we just want to talk to her. Neither the weaponsmith nor his granddaughter believes the orc had anything to do with it, but she may know who did." Jackson took one more look at the circle of untouched wood, surrounded by all the metal in the shop. Something had definitely happened here. He couldn't help but feel like it meant things for the future. At the edge of his awareness, he felt a flickering presence. It was there 1 second and then gone. When he turned to look, he didn't see anyone. But he couldn't shake the feeling someone had been watching them. "I'm in if you'll have me." There was something about Karin that was interesting, Jackson said. The two officers turned to walk away from the sight. But before he was too far away, Jackson heard Aramay say, "Just don't let the princess hear you call another woman interesting." Chapter 9. All I have sought has fallen short, but I never stopped striving. When my efforts have ended, I must trust Chanel will complete the work given to me. Journal of Emily Nelson, chosen of Chanel. Northern Miramar. Emiri Nelson. Emiri flew through the air, sitting behind Captain Aramay astride his griffin. The beast was a wonder, its body strong and elegant. She had worried if they would be able to carry 2 riders, but the captain was so sure. Now, after flying a search pattern for the past hour, she no longer doubted. Something about the freedom of flight was powerful magic upon the soul. Emiri could feel the great heart of the beast beneath her, as it pushed blood and life to every part of its magnificent body. She felt its wild spirit, and found it stirred a desire within her heart. Perhaps the greatest transformation in going from Emily Nelson of Earth to Emiri, Elven Lady, was in how she thought about desires. For years, she had been so worried about her family, her friends, her society, even the world. It had caused her to make choices based on fear rather than freedom. In trying to be selfless, she had selfishly forced her will upon others. It was all for their good. She wanted to make her children better people. She wanted to refine the diamond in the rough as she saw her husband. Even the world was a place she wanted to better. Illuria had been the greatest challenge to her. She had chosen to stand firm at first. She insisted on changing a new world to fit her ideals. The problem was, those ideals hadn't been something one could force on Earth, let alone in Illuria. The irony of it all was that it required Emiri to think about herself more than others in order to stop being selfish. Not that she had arrived yet. Dave and the kids would have certainly been quick to point that out. But once she had realized it was okay to find a place for herself that wasn't bound up in children or her service projects, she had realized that her family also might have a path other than the one she prescribed. It's a hard lesson for every mother, that they can protect their children in every situation. Emiri would certainly still try to protect her children, but she also needed to give them some freedom. This was what Illuria had done for her. Now she could feel eyes upon her. Most importantly, she knew Jackson was upset with her. It really wasn't unreasonable for him to be upset. Perhaps that realization showed her growth more than anything else. She had, after all, forced her way onto the scouting mission he had been invited on. Emiri was sure that he believed she only came along to keep an eye on him. There was certainly that temptation, but her dreams had compelled her to come more than any fear for her son. Jackson had proven himself to be very capable. Oh, the human mother she had been for years still fretted for him, but the moon elf she was becoming was proud of his accomplishments and looked forward to quiet days when she could boast about them to the women of her inner circle. She hadn't shared her dreams with anyone, other than to discuss them with Morion, the Bishop of Chanel in Miramar. Well, and of course with her husband. but they could only communicate with magical messenger bird spells. This bishop had proven to be far more palatable to her than Tanger in Albia. Moriarty seemed to actually care about the mission of redemption, rather than simply seeing his position as a political post. All the bowing and scraping before a chosen was very frustrating at first. Even the Queen hadn't wanted to meet her eyes initially. If she had thought the Albians were religious, they paled before many of the Miramarans. She only got through to Sophia after long